Yo, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of Levitation, the Sunday series, where we coming back with a good one. We coming back with a great one. We coming back with a banger. You feel me? Let's get into it. I hope it bless you. Today I want to talk about exhausting your opportunity. Sometimes we can get lazy, and that laziness transfers over to our interaction with God sometimes. Some of us pray to God and ask for Him to move in our lives, and He'll provide an opportunity for you to access what you've been praying to God for. But then for some reason, we don't take full advantage of the opportunity that God gives us access to. And there's many reasons why we don't take full advantage. It could be fear, it could be doubt, it could even be not recognizing that the opportunity is present. Or sometimes, simply put, we may think that it don't even take all that. We become lazy. I don't think I have to put forth all of this effort in order to get what I've been praying for. And because of our inability to seize the opportunity, we miss out on the breakthrough that God wanted us to experience. This very concept is perfectly described in 2 Kings chapter 13. To give you a little bit of background and context, King Jehoash was the king of Israel at that time. And the Bible describes that he did what was evil in the eyesight of God. What did he do that was considered so evil? Well, not only was he worshiping other idols, he was causing the people of Israel to worship other idols. And because of that, God became angry. And as a result of God becoming angry, God allowed the king of Iran to defeat them repeatedly. And they've been losing for some generations, all because the kings and the people turned away from God. Sometimes it takes for us to get beat up sometimes for us to recognize where our help truly comes from. And this is what this king did. He finally sought after God. But there's something to learn in this. Sometimes the things that we're going to God to solve, it only exists because of our disobedience. In the Bible, it says God allowed for that nation to continue to defeat Israel. Some of the disturbances and stresses that we're facing are sometimes allowed by God. And we have a tendency to run to our idols to find solutions. We run to money to fix the problem. We may run to a relationship to fix the problem. We run and worship everything else besides running to God. And God is allowing that situation to happen so we can recognize that our idols can't fix it, but He can. And this is what the king recognizes. So he goes to the prophet Elisha, and Elisha is about to die. So Elisha gives his final prophecy. In 2 Kings chapter 13, starting at verse 16, it says, Elisha told him, "Put your hands on the bow." And Elisha laid his own hands on the king's hand. Then he commanded, "Open that eastern window," and he opened it. Then he said, "Shoot." So he shot an arrow. Elijah proclaimed, "This is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over Aram, for you will completely conquer the Arameans at Ephek." Then he said, "Now pick up the other arrows and strike them against the ground." So the king picked them up and struck the ground 3 times. But the man of God was angry with him. "You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he exclaimed. "Then you would have beaten a ram until it was entirely destroyed. Now you will only be victorious 3 times. God presented an opportunity for his help, and the king used that opportunity. He even picked up the arrows and struck the ground. But as I was reading, I wondered, why didn't he follow full instructions? Because the instructions were to pick up the remaining arrows and strike them with the ground. Why did he only stop at 3? Then my mind started to race on what could possibly be the reason as to why he stopped. Maybe he got excited because Elijah told him that the arrow was the Lord's arrow and that he was going to win the battle. So maybe that caused him not to pay full attention to the rest of the instruction. Or maybe he doubted if throwing all of the arrows was necessary. So he stopped at 3. Because maybe he didn't want to be all the way disobedient, but he didn't really believe that that was going to do anything. Or maybe after the 3rd arrow, he came to the conclusion that this don't really even take all that. If the arrow was the Lord's arrow and that was the arrow that was going to be the victorious arrow, what's the point in me throwing down the rest of the arrows? Maybe it didn't make sense to him. Whatever his reasoning was, it resulted in him not fully obeying the instruction. And the reason why I went so deep into his thought process is because I find that we often do the same thing. God will give us visions, God will give us dreams, God will give us instructions, and sometimes we may be so excited about what God has revealed to us that we don't fully pay attention to the full instructions that He provides. So we miss certain steps. And in missing certain steps, we don't fully take advantage of all the opportunity presented. Sometimes God gives us dreams and visions and and instructions, and we may begin to doubt if it'll ever come true. So we don't fully take advantage of the opportunity presented. And then sometimes we don't understand the instruction. We don't understand, why would I quit my job? Why would I stay at this job if I'm being offered this? We don't understand the specific instructions that God gives us. And so we may say, oh, it don't take all that. And we fail to take full advantage of the opportunity presented. Whatever our reasoning is for not fully taking advantage causes us not to receive the full benefit that God wanted us to receive. See, Elijah tells the king, why you only threw 3 arrows down? Elijah was upset. You had more to throw. Now I begin to see that the arrows for us could be a representation for how much faith we have. God provides opportunity for us, and we only throwing down 2 or 3 arrows, and then we stop. And the whole time God is looking like, if you would have thrown 5, 6, 7 arrows, if you would have operated in full faith, despite not understanding it, despite doubt, your whole life could have changed. The breakthrough that you were seeking could have been received fully. But because we come short of the full blessing. So to wrap up this whole story, we learned 3 major lessons. Number 1, the situation that he was in was a direct correlation to his disobedience to begin with. So for us, when we're faced with situations, when we're faced with stress, we have to analyze ourselves. See if I'm in full alignment to God's will, because the situation could be a result of my disobedience. The way that you can tell if you're in full alignment with God's will, the only way that you can tell is if you read his word. It ain't there for nothing. The second thing, he went to God and God provided an opportunity. Even when we make our own mess, God is always looking for us to seek him for counsel. And when we seek him for counsel, he will always provide an opportunity for deliverance. Don't run to your idols for deliverance. Don't run to your idols for freedom. Don't run to your idols for solutions, but run to God, and he'll provide that opportunity. The third thing that we learn is, when God provides an opportunity, be prepared to hear and obey the instruction. There's a lot of distractions out there that can cause us not to hear fully, that can take our focus away. But in order to keep the focus, our hearts, our minds, our wills have to be in a place not only to hear God, but also to obey God. God provides opportunity after opportunity for us. The question is, are you exhausting the opportunity? Time to take full advantage. This is Levitation, where we're reaching the highest potential. Stay blessed.